go over to another state that starts with the letter M. In a state championship game, Michigan brought Paul Bunyan back home 29-7. Dominating defensive performance by the Wolverines, limiting Michigan State to 37 yards rushing. Offensively, moved the ball, had some red zone struggles. Luckily, we've got one of the best kick. Michigan has, not we, I'm not a Packer fan. Michigan has one of the best kickers in
You
the country in Jake
know,
Moutier.
Dylan, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Every single week, every single week, you correct yourself when you're talking about Michigan. You always say we. Oh, no, I don't play for Michigan. We. Oh, I'm not on the team. We. Oh, hey, I'm not a Packer fan, which was great, by the way. But why not just roll with the we? Like I said earlier in the show, fans are short for fanatics.
Because I'm not going to stoop to a Packer fan level, and the Packers are dead. They are dead. Have you watched that team play? They're dead, Grant. I'm not stooping to that level, okay? I am not a Packer fan. It is Michigan. It is not we. I don't play for the team. I didn't even go to the school. I got into an argument with this chick at a bar who had Michigan State stuff on. I told her she had 2 high school diplomas. She flipped me off and walked away. It was awesome.
You're not a Packer fan, yes, because you don't own stake in the University of Michigan.
No.
But it's also not work at the local dairy for creamer for $45,000 a year. You're better than them people. So you can say we because you are better than Packer fans. You don't live in that cheese hellhole known as Wisconsin.
I don't, but, again, I don't want to stoop to that level. I don't want to stoop down to the Michigan State, the Green Bay levels, which the only thing that only fight Michigan State put up all game was after the game when they decided to gang up on 2 Michigan players in the tunnel and assault them.
When they jump them in the tunnel.
Yeah. It was an embarrassment. It's just an indictment of the program, which Coach Tucker basically allows, and probably if there was no video to it or there was not the backlash that there was, he wouldn't suspend him. They weren't going to suspend the guy the instigator of it because he was one of the best players on the defense. And then when more video came out and more outrage, he decided to suspend him. It's a trash program. He's a trash coach. He got paid $95 million to suck. And it sucks that we have to talk about that when Michigan completely dominated the game, which we will. Blake Corum continues his Heisman candidacy and Heisman campaign, I should say. J.J. McCarthy keeps rolling along. I would like to see some better improvement out of the red zone, but in a rivalry of this magnitude, and there were some 4th and shorts that Michigan could have gone for, but I think Jim Harbaugh looked at the other side and said, we can beat this team with field goals. Their offense is nothing. The only offense I think Michigan State has is just throwing the ball up to having their receivers run go routes and just throwing the ball up in the air and hoping
really
they
what
come
I
down
said,
with it.
like beginning of the year.
Yes, exactly. and it works when you have Kenneth Walker, but they don't have Kenneth Walker. And it was Michigan got out of there with a win. Hopefully Jamon Green is able to recover. It sounds like he's still in concussion protocol. But I'm sure, and there's been people talking about how the tunnel's the problem. The tunnel's been there since the stadium was built. There's been thousands of games played in that stadium, and there hasn't been issues like that where the other team is assaulting. And most of the time after games, you see most Michigan players and players from the other team chatting about the game. Even when it was Michigan, Ohio State, or 2 weeks ago when Penn State was throwing Uncrustables, after the game, it was cordial. They were talking after the game. There were pictures of it. But
Dylan, do you think that it will get to a point where after the game they will like physically separate the team? They'll let one team go in first, and then they'll let one team go in after that, so this doesn't happen again? Do you think we'll to that point where they kind of block it off and they're like, no, we can't risk this? One team goes in and the other team follows that afterwards?
Maybe, but I mean, most of the time you're shaking hands with guys that I mean, in the Big Ten, there's a lot of guys that played high school with each other or against each other in the same state, and for the most part, you don't see that type of stuff. It's one of the first times that's ever happened. I mean, there was Ohio State last year, and then Penn State this year. There was jawing, but there was never where it got physical or anything like that. It's just guys need to control their tempers and their anger and can't let words hurt their feelings where they want to go hurt somebody. I think that's what it comes down to is
Yeah.
people need to act mature and grow up.
Makes sense. But yeah, your point, it took away kind of the luster of the game because, in my eyes right now, Michigan's one of the best 4 teams in college football. And if the season ended today, they'd be playing for a national championship. But the only thing people can be talking about is this player getting jumped in the tunnel. And, we're taking away from the hard work that these kids put out on that field on Saturday night.
Yeah, and they were saying how he shouldn't have been going up there, but there's a story about it. Jamon Green, his dad is a truck driver, or a long haul truck driver, so he's got a very limited schedule. So he usually likes to get up there right away to see his dad because his dad usually has to go to the next load that he's working on. It had nothing to do with that, and I mean, I just don't think that there's no indication that Michigan became physical first, because even the Michigan State, they've there's some people, like, I think he's handled it a little bit better, but still I think that Board of Regents and his bosses have done a good job of handling it as well and cooperating, but we can't reach this part of the society, which we have, is where, oh, somebody said a mean thing to me, I'm gonna go beat the hell out of them just because of that.
Yeah, and for no apparent reason, then you're gonna have 4 dudes jump on top of this dude, and then, to your point, beat the hell out of him, and it could have been a lot worse than what it actually was. You thank God he's only in concussion protocol.
Yep.
I mean, bones could have been broken. He could have been bleeding everywhere. It could have been awful.
Well, and then there was one other player that was hurt. He's got like a deviated septum or something with, I think it was deviated septum or like a broken nose or something like that. But yeah, people just need to grow up and be intelligent. But that's enough talk about it. We'll go